Welcome back to Sunshine and Bubblegum podcast. My name is Lynn, and I am coming to you from outside of New Orleans. I am a stay-at-home mom of twin boys, and I enjoy knitting and crocheting and crafting when I can, and this is a podcast all about that. So I want to give a huge thank you to everyone who reached out to me in support. And it's really meant a lot. I've had over 100 views on my first video, and that's really awesome, and I can't thank you all so very, very much. I want to give a huge thank you to my friends and to my family and to everyone that I don't know. I've had lots of people reach out to me on Instagram, and it's been so exciting and really encouraging, which I needed, because this is getting a little nerve-wracking for episode 2, maybe even a little more than episode 1. On episode 1, I was on a huge adrenaline rush, and then to do episode 2, I started getting scared, hoping that everybody's enjoying it, and I know I am. So on my list of thank yous, I want to say thank you to Robin and Mary at the Cherry Pearls podcast. Those girls are wonderful. They are also out of New Orleans, and they are a mother-daughter team, and they're knitting and spinning and dyeing yarn, and they've mentioned me twice now. 2 podcasts they've given me shout-outs, so thank you so much. That means the world, and I really am looking forward to meeting up with you ladies someday and getting to have some fun. You're definitely yarn enablers, and thank you for all of the help with my Felici sock adventure. I appreciate it. I'd also like to give a shout out to a few people on Instagram that gave me some love. Tracy over at the Grocery Girls gave me some sweet words of encouragement, and also Nothing But a Pigeon on Instagram, and she gave me some nice praise. She has a crochet and taxidermy book that's out, and she's also on Etsy, so maybe go check her out. Some really cute, fun little crocheted animals that you can mount on a wall for decoration, so that was awesome. And also a big thank you to Boston Mama 3 on Instagram, and she is the host of the Boston Mama Knits podcast, and I'll have a little bit more to say about her when I get down to my favorite podcasts that I've been watching lately. So thank you to everybody. You're helping me so much with my motivation to keep going, and I have a lot of things to show you. It's been 2 weeks since last I posted. Today is July 6th, and hopefully I'll get this up within a couple days, so it's not too much more of a lag. I know you're all missing me terribly. But at first I didn't have a lot to show other than my big blanket I've been working on, and that's not that exciting. So now I do. I have more things to show, and I'm very excited, and hopefully my little kitty Sable will be my co-host today. She's kind of out of the picture, but she might move over in a minute. So, let's see. Let's get right into it. My finished objects for the week are actually a couple little hats. Woo! And these are little newborn hats. Go. Little newborn hats, and they're done in Hobbly Lobby yarn. The top color is Dusty Rose, Rosy Cheeks, and Ivory, and it just has a little beautiful flower clip on there, and that is on an alligator clip, so it can come off and be worn in the hair, or you can pin it on a dress later. So that's a little accessory, and this is up for sale in my Etsy store. And the pattern is by Hopeful Honey, and it is the Vintage Pearl Baby Hat. Her original pattern has all one color, but she's done little pearl accessories on each of the shells. So that's really sweet, and I really love the pattern. It's really fun. I've also done the same pattern in this tealy turquoise color. And it has, it's actually, the colorway is called Sage, but it's way more more of a Tiffany blue than a sage color. And this is in the Bernat satin, and then the edge shells are just done in antique white. And this one came out a little tighter than I wanted. I may take it out and redo it with a larger hook. I used an H, and maybe an I would work better for that. But I like it, and I need to still find just an accessory, maybe another flower bow or a pearl button might be really sweet with this. So that's finished objects that I've done. Just need accessorizing on that last one. And oh, I also want to mention, I mentioned my Etsy shop, but I can be found on Instagram as Sunshine Bubblegum along with Ravelry, and on Facebook and Etsy as Sunshine and Bubblegum. And I've also started a Sunshine and Bubblegum podcast group on Ravelry. So you can come over and introduce yourself, ask me any questions you have, and I've also added another thread which I will talk about in a little bit. So please stop by and say hello. I'd love that. See who's out there. Also, I have no tea today. Just a mason jar with my little crocheted koozie with some lemon water. Can't do tea too late at night. It's 8:30 here already. Everyone's asleep except for me. So, works in progress. I have the giant blanket. And I have done 80 rows since I last have seen everybody. This is my LSU blanket. It is a commissioned piece. It's going to be 4x6 when it's finished. It is a stockinette stitch with a seed stitch edging. And the colorways are purple, which is very hard to see. This is a very deep purple, ivory, and sun gold. So I have 2 more stripes to go. I've just started the cream, and then it'll finish with a last row of purple, all in seed stitch, and then this big baby will be done. So that's very exciting, because as soon as this one is finished, I have lots more time for socks and whatever other trouble I can find and get into. Very excited. So, let's see. Now, I don't have any more, well, I have one more, but that's my sock, which I'll talk to you about in a minute. I don't have any more big works in progress, but I do have a few items that are in the queue for when I have some more free knitting time. And that is going to start with my baby sister Elizabeth, who just had a birthday. Happy birthday, Liz. And she also was recently married last November, and I was the maid of honor, and that was special matron of honor. I told her she wasn't allowed to call me that. That was so special to be there and be part of your wedding, sweetheart. She has asked me to make her an afghan, and it's going to be crocheted in a shell pattern. And she had a really neat idea and a pattern that she found that's overlapping shells. So I had to do some hunting, and I found on YouTube a pattern called the Cascade Stitch, and it's by Oana Oros, and she has a beautiful video on how to do it. It's all crochet, and the original pattern is for in the round. She makes a bag and a skirt out of it on her video. So I've had to do a little playing around to try and figure out how to make it where to end the pattern so it can be a straight edge. So this is what the one repeat of the pattern looks like. This won't be the final color. This is just my play yarn, and it'll actually cascade down. So that's what one repeat looks like, and then what it's actually going to look like as it goes, and it'll probably be all in one color, but I did this just to kind of show where the definition is going to come in. So we got a darker yellow and a lighter yellow, and it's really neat. It overlaps just a little bit so that it has texture to it, some real definition, and it'll have some really neat details when it's all done. So this is where the full repeat comes in. So when you get to the edging, a full shell is going to come halfway around. So I had to just kind of work on the counts, and on this side I did a half shell, and you can see I have a straighter edge, so there I can finish it with a single crochet, half double crochet border, and just straighten it out a bit and give it a nice clean finish when it's done. So that's something I've been playing around with, working on my gauge and also colorways. I think we're going to do it in a peachy coral, so I'm still hunting for the right yarn for that, but this will be another big project coming up soon, and that's exciting. I also wanted to show you my pillow that I mentioned on the first podcast. This is a pillow that I made, sort of a tester pillow for pillows I'm going to be doing for my other sister, Kira's store this fall. And this is done in the stone colorway from Patons Bamboo and Silk yarn. And it's super soft, very flowy. I want to say that it's almost like water, especially with the cable accent on there. It's a double repeat of the pattern, and the cable pattern is by Nancy Ricci, and it's the actually Vanessa Headband pattern. It's meant to be a winter headband, and I had done one winter headband as a gift, and I really liked the cabling, and I decided to just try it on the pillow. So this was a super fun project. It was really neat to work with bamboo and silk. I had never done that before. This was kind of a huge step, lots of different techniques to try. My second cabling, I had done the headband once, and then I did it again with the cabling, so my second real time doing cable. I got to do the mattress stitch on the edging, where I sewed up on both sides. You can kind of see a little bit on the inside where it's resting against the pillow, but overall it's pretty neat. Hard to tell where it's finished. And I also took my chance at putting in a zipper, which I think came out really nice, but the yarn is so soft that the zipper actually warped it a little bit, just doing the zipper thing. So this was a great project. I had a lot of fun, and I learned a lot of things, swatching and blocking and different stitches. So that was fun, and I will have more to show you as the year goes on and those pillows start happening. The first one is going to be done out of the malabrigo, which I showed last time, and it is the Polar Morn colorway, and I have caked it up. So pretty. And I did a small swatch because I needed to get the width gauge as for my casting on. And as far as vertical goes, I'm just going to keep knitting till I get where I need to be. And then I will end it with my detail piece. This one is really just going to show off the yarn. You can see all the variations in just that one colorway, the semi-solid lights and darks, and it's so pretty. I can't wait to work with that. That's going to be fun. And also, this was my special ball, my very first real yarn that I bought when I got back into knitting and stumbled across my friends Rob and Laurel when they were first opening their yarn store, Coveted Yarn in Gloucester. And I bought my first ball of blue heron yarn. And it was in a ball last week, or 2 weeks ago. And I thought it needed to be in a cake since I had my winder out, so I wound it up, and inside I found the label. How smart of me. So it is blue heron yarn. It is the marsh grass colorway. It is Egyptian cotton, and it has 1,000 yards to it, and it is a lace weight. So I still doesn't know what it's going to be. It is very fine and might take a bit more confidence on my end, because those are going to be some tiny needles. But it might have enough to make a shawl, or maybe a shawlette. So if anyone has any ideas or great patterns for lace weight, an Egyptian cotton, I'm open to it. I'd love to get some ideas and put that in the mix. Okay. So, my next adventure started with ordering Felici. So I was so excited. Everybody's been talking about it. Everybody's been showing off their Felici that they've purchased over the past week or so, and that's been really fun because I feel like I'm part of the family. It's like a tiny sock cult. And I'm really excited to get into the socks. I don't know why I feel so nervous about knitting socks. I'll tell you, I'm nervous about my gauge. I'm nervous about the fit. I'm nervous about everything. I have been thinking about it, and I think it's because I'm going to put it out there, and I'm going to show people as I go what I'm learning. And everything to this point has been trial and error at home. I don't have to show it to anybody but myself, and if I don't like it, I rip it out and nobody knows. So thinking about doing it and making it out of what to me is a very special yarn, my first real fancy sock yarn, is kind of scary. So I'm going to be brave and I'm going to go for it. I'm just going to go for it. So I ordered my Felici. I ordered 2 colors. I ordered a ball each, and I was very, very, very excited. I clicked send, and your order has been placed, and I was so excited, and I went over to the Cherry Pearls podcast group on Ravelry, and I messaged Mary, and I said, hey, I got my time traveler yarn, and I'm so excited, and I'm wondering if 1 ball is enough to do a pair of short socks. And then I slept on it, and I started getting nervous, wondering if it really had enough. And I'd also talked to my sister, and I told her that I had ordered it, and she was like really excited because she has a few socks that she has done and a pair that she's been working on, and she picked that back up, and she's actually finished a pair of socks that are years old. She's so excited. So she went and purchased some Felici too. So I talked to her the next day, and I said, yes, I ordered more yarn, and she's like, oh, that's so funny, I ordered you something too. I was like, well, that's exciting. I'll have 3 packages coming in the mail. And I got them. So I got my Felici yarn, and this is the Time Traveler colorway. I'm so excited. I can't wait to make my Doctor Who socks. And the colors are beautiful. It's super soft and squishy. I've seen a few people have gotten this one already, and it's one of those colors, or maybe it's one of those yarns that never quite photographs as beautiful as it is. The colors are always off, even in the picture, versus when I got it at home, and I'm so excited. So the Mary over at Cherry Pearls podcasted this week and answered my question live, saying she weighed up her socks. She had made a pair of short socks, and they take 59 grams, and each ball is 50. So she said, you have to have 2 balls. But she had a little ball left over and said, if you need this, let me know. We're not too far away. It's yours. So that was awesome. But Mary, I don't want you to worry, because my second yarn purchase was more Felici. So I have enough to make myself a short pair, a long pair, or a medium pair. And then my sister's package came, and I got a 3rd ball of Felici because she was worried. She went online, and she thinks things through a little more than I did, and saw that you need more than 1 ball to make a pair of socks. So she ordered me a ball so I would be able to make 2 socks, and she's super sweet. So I now have 3 balls of the Time Traveler. So I can have whatever size sock I want. maybe 2 pairs of short pairs, or I can make my niece a little pair of socks, or someone else a pair of socks. But the other colorway that I got, and in true fashion, I have 3 balls of those, thank you, Kira, is Lost Lakes. And I love blues. I love blues and purples and corals, but blues always are my favorite. So, I have plenty of yarn. I can't wait. I'm so excited. So, as excited as I am, I'm still super nervous. I think this yarn is so special, and I just need to get over it, and I need to cast it on. So, I've been doing some practicing, just because I haven't knit a sock in forever, and I only knit 1 pair of socks, which I gave to my grandmother, and she said she loved, and she would love anything I gave her, so I hope that she really did enjoy them. But I've been practicing, so I had to wait. One more step to this story. I ordered the yarn. I did not order myself any yarn needles. So, back to the computer I had to go. Come here, so everyone can see you. Yeah, come say hi. This is Sable. A sweet girl. She is 15, old lady. I didn't order any needles, so I had to go back online, and after paying attention the best I could to what everyone was using for sock weight yarn and favorites, I know it was between a 1 and a 3, and a 1 and 2 mostly. So I went actually with a 1.5. So it's a 1.5 US and it's a 2.5 millimeter. I ordered 2 because I did a little bit of research. I went on to Very Pink Knits and watched their sock tutorial. She has sock knitting on DPNs and in the magic loop with the circulars. So I kind of practiced a little bit on both, and I decided I liked the magic loop. So I wanted to get 2 circulars. So I got Knitter's Pride, and unbeknownst to me, I got Nova Cubics, because apparently I do not pay any attention when I order items online. So yarn, needles, I was going for gauge and length of cord, and I know I wanted 2 of them, so the second sock syndrome doesn't catch me, because that's going to happen, I know it. So I've actually been practicing with them, and I like them a lot. I know someone else had shown that they were using them and that they enjoyed them too, and I do. I like the metal tip. I was a little nervous on the drag, because these are very quick moving, where I usually knit in bamboo right now, and I'm used to the slower. Needles aren't going to jump off. The yarn's not going to jump off the needle so quick. So my first run with these was my whole cast on row went, because I just tipped the needle. So a little more delicate. I have to be a little more delicate with my needles. But I wanted to show you my practice sock. So while I was waiting for my needles to arrive, because that took forever, and plus it was the 4th of July holiday, so there was 3 extra days that the mail didn't come, I thought, well, I have size 8 needles and I have plenty of worsted weight, so I cast on what could be the largest sock ever. It would probably fit my husband, but he would not ever be caught dead wearing a coral sock, so it's just going to be a test sock. Practice my cast on, 2x2 ribbing, practice the Eye of Partridge heel, and turning the heel, and picking up the gusset. So, the slip stitch decrease was something a little new for me, but not hard. It was not hard, and you know, the effect of it's beautiful, but the worsted weight is very, good at showing me where my mistakes are. So when I picked up the gusset, I have a nice hole here. I'm getting a little bit of stretching here, but it might just be because I'm so close to the needle still. So I have to figure out, does anyone have any good ideas or tips on how not to get that? I thought I did it. I thought I picked up high enough up when you start the gusset, but nope, I have some nice holes. So I'd like to practice that a little more before I get to that point on my fancy yarn, because I don't want that happening on my Felici socks. So if anyone has any tips or tricks or links to videos on how to close that on a top down. I found one on a toe up. I found a video for a toe up, but not for a top down. So I'd love some advice on how to work with that, because I know you're all out there knitting socks, and I need all the tips and advice I can get. So my next practice is in my ball sack. Isn't this awesome? This is last year's birthday present. So I found, this is an old ball of yarn that I got from Coveted Yarn in Gloucester, Mass. It is on Vive. It is SUPERSOCKE. It is from Germany. It is merino, and it is a little bit of polyester and I believe bamboo, but it's hard to tell because I think it's all in German. So it's also one of the self-patterning yarns, so it'll make a nice stripy pattern with some sweet, cute little details in there, and it is in tones of browns, and there's some forest green and some mustard yellows, so that'll be really nice. Now, how far I get on it, because I'm really itching to use the Felici, I don't know. But I wanted to practice with my new needles, and I wanted to try and get my gauge. You can see a little bit starting to pattern, just a little bit. I didn't get very far. And what I think is I have the wrong size for me. I'm doing a 2x2 rib. 2x2 rib. And there we go. Nice cord in the way. Here we go. I cast it on 64, and I think I need to do 68 or maybe 72. I'm working off a mishmash of patterns, so if anyone also has a good basic vanilla sock pattern with details on how to get the right gauge for your foot, I think I have a 9-inch, 8 and 3/4, 8.5 to 9-inch circumference of my foot. I would love a little more help. So I'm just practicing on this right now, and so far I'm having fun. Now I'll tell you, going from a size 8 on worsted to a size 1.5, these are US sizes, fingering weight, I almost had to get reading glasses. It's such a huge swing. It's such a huge swing, especially when I'm knitting on the big blanket. Those are on size 9s right now, so that's crazy. This was a little bit of a tiny yarn, a tiny yarn, tiny needle wake-up call. So I'll have to keep practicing on those. So I'm trying to get to where I'm confident enough to cast on my special yarn, and hopefully next week I'll have some Felici socks to show you. I promise. Promise next time I will have Felici socks in some stage of being on the needles to show you. So I wanted to show you, the Knitter's Pride needles are my fanciest needles that I own. Most of my circulars are all clover, and I keep them in the little pencil zip bags. And I have been enjoying the bamboo up to now. I think it slows it down, so your yarn can't slide off as quickly. This is my needle cozy that my mom made me for my birthday or Christmas a few years back, and she made it with this awesome turtle fabric because I am a turtle lover. And it opens up, just rolls up, and then you flip it open. And it holds your needles and crochet hooks and some rulers. And when I started knitting, when I first started knitting and my mom was teaching us, we went to Second Glance, which is a secondhand store, and they had coffee cans with rice and just knitting needles in them. And I don't know, they were like $1/4 a pair. So I got one in each size. I didn't know what size I needed for what yarn, so I got a variety of sizes and all different heights. And when I started knitting, I found the metal very slippery and very slick, and as a beginner, it was not easy to knit with. So I had kind of moved on and purchased, as I went, a couple of sets of plastic needles. Probably, I don't know even who they're from. Just, you know, craft store needles. And they were okay, not as slippery as the metal, but the weight was off in your hand. It didn't, you know. So then I tried some bamboo, and I really liked the bamboo. So I've kind of just stuck with bamboo ever since then, from my circulars and from my straight needles. And I do have one pair of size 3 double pointed. Well, I have a few pairs of double pointed, but my previous sock needles were size 3 double pointed, and I decided I didn't want to work with those. I really wanted to try, now that my knitting has improved, I wanted to try the metal tip needles, because I think I'm ready for them. I'm a big girl. I can use the slick needles. And I think if I had gotten metal needles for my size 9s on the big blanket I'm working on, my knitting would be going faster, because now that I've gone back to metal needles, and I can feel that the drag is so much less. You can just the blanket feels slow, so slow, because you get the bamboo and you have to push them all on, and then like you know, knit 3 and you're pushing more. So next time I knit a giant 4x6 blanket, I will get metal needles and cut my knitting time in half. So I have, I don't have any more new acquisitions besides my Felici and my needles, but I do have another special stash yarn to show everyone. And this one came with a cowl pattern. It is Bamboo Bloom Handpaints in the Jade, where are you? Precious Jade colorway. It is made in Turkey. It is bamboo, wool, 48% bamboo, 44% wool, and 8% acrylic. And it is in a beautiful jade, tealy, turquoise, lots of shades in and out, and it even goes down to, it's not white, but it's probably like the lightest shade, a very light tone in the variations. I believe it is hand spun. It is a single ply, and it has where I want to say the bamboo is, these very, very thin, maybe even, thinner than the rest of it, not quite worsted weight bits, and then it has these big fluffy wool bits. And the pattern you use, I just dropped on the floor, is a cowl pattern by Lori Faria, and you use one skein of the Bamboo Bloom, and you knit in the round, and you knit Cascade stitch all of the thinner bamboo, and then when you get to the puffs of wool, you purl them. So as it goes, you have the puffs of wool will pop out around the cowl. So it was really pretty. I should have taken a picture. This I got last year at Coveted Yarn when I was up visiting my family, and this was my special treat, my selfish knit for myself, which, here it is, needs to get knitted. and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the cowl, and the yarn is so sweet and soft. So this will get made because I have a reason to keep myself on track now. All of you are going to keep me going, keep me on track. So this I can't wait to get actually worked up and have my finished project. That will be super special. So the other thing I wanted to ask everybody was what your favorite knitting, crochet, pattern books there are. What you like working on. It can be garments, sweaters, socks, cowls, hats, mittens, blankets. I'd love to hear what your favorite books you have at home on the shelf. Maybe basics, what your favorite books are for your stitches, what your favorite magazine subscriptions are. I'd like to increase my library, and I'm really interested to know what everybody has. My first purchase, I'm hoping, will be a sock book because I really want to make the socks that will structurally fit me, and if I want to make them as a gift, that I know I can make them and they'll fit somebody else without having them be here and I have to try them on their feet all the time. So I was looking at sock architecture. I think there's a few people out there that have mentioned that one. And also custom socks. And I'll put in the show notes the authors. I'm sorry I didn't write the authors down. But I'm going to open a feed in my Ravelry group for favorite books and magazines, and have a thread within there for what you like about either one of those books, sock architecture or custom socks, if you have either one of them, or if you have both, what you like about them, if you think one would be better for a beginner than the other, and some details. That would be great. I'd love that. I'd love to really know what would be the best choice for me as not necessarily a novice knitter, but a beginner sock knitter. Let's see. Sorry, I gotta check my notes real quick. So, I wanted to share with everybody some of my new favorite podcasters. It's really hard not to binge on lots and lots of podcasts, but I enjoy when I'm cooking and when I'm cleaning and at night when I'm knitting, listening and watching podcasts. So it's been really fun. There are so many out there, and I started watching everyone's first episode a few weeks back, and well, maybe a month ago, and just kind of seeing where everybody was when they started and how they did and what they talked about, and sort of trying to build up my confidence to, if I really want to do this, let's do it. So then I decided that there's no way I can watch everybody that I enjoy watching episodes, because some of them are over 50, some of them are over 100. So I decided that I will start with the most recent so I can be part of the conversation with all the fun patterns and knit-alongs and yarns that are out there right now on sale in those Etsy shops or on Knit Picks, and then work my way back to my favorites. So there's a lot of them, but I want to just pick a couple maybe each episode and talk about and share, because I know everyone likes to share their favorites, and it's helped me find more and more and more and more episodes and podcasts to listen to. So my first one is Barbara over at Knitting I Love. She is the Polish girl in Ireland, and I will never be able to do such a beautiful accent that she does. And she is a lot of fun. She is high energy, and I love watching her, and her editing is fantastic. I have some help from my husband. He's the computer guy. I'm the person that says I know how to hit play on my iPad. So I'm not there yet, But her editing is awesome, and I like watching her. The way she edits her program and the way she talks about things. She has so much energy, and it's like creative chaos, but in a good way. And that's the way I think. So it's great to see that there's someone out there that has so much excitement for so many things that she has to kind of like, okay, we have to rein ourselves back in and talk about this one thing, and then I can talk about everything else again. So it's a lot of fun, and it's kind of like a kindred spirit. I guess both of the podcasts I'm going to talk about today, I feel, are kindred spirits on different ways. So that's Barbara. Thank you so much, Barbara, for inspiring me from across the Atlantic. And keep up the beautiful episodes. I can't wait to see more and all of your projects. Also, my next podcast that actually found me, and then I went and checked her podcast out, was Boston Mama Knits. That is Lori, and she is actually out of Chicago. The Boston hit me right away because Boston is an hour from my hometown in Massachusetts where I grew up. But she is not in Boston, but she is a mama to a Boston Terrier named Snoopy, and he makes lots of debuts, and he's super cute. So Lori is wonderful. She's a lovely knitter. I want to make sure I have my word, don't get tongue-tied. She's a lovely knitter and a very thoughtful knitter, and she really thinks about things down to the variations in the yarn. And I think it was her second or third podcast that she spoke about finding out more about what the difference between a solid, semi-solid, tonal, and the different variegated yarns were, so that she knew and felt confident about what she was telling everyone on her podcast. And that really struck home to me because it's something that I've thought about but maybe not explored as much, and I really enjoyed watching that. And the other thing about Lori is she's a history buff, and when I was younger in school, I couldn't care less. I was very bad with dates, and I didn't enjoy reading, but I do now, and I'm really, really getting back into history, and I like books on tape, and I enjoy all the fiction, the fictional accounts of history on the Netflix and all the different shows. And so when she knits, she might think of a colorway, like the Victorian colorways, or maybe a pattern that it's inspired her by something that she's been reading or learning about, and then she knits and is in the moment and in the history of it, and it's really neat. And I thought that was really special, and that was kind of my kindred spirit moment that I really loved and would like to be able to knit like that, and that was exciting. So those are my two girls this week that have inspired me, and I'm really enjoying catching up on your episodes. And keep up the beautiful, beautiful work and knitting and excitement and energy on your shows, so the rest of us can enjoy them and keep me motivated and brave to come back again and again and again. I think I'll get there. It's funny because in person I'm very outgoing and I don't shut up, and I talk a lot, and you can tell my husband's the quiet one, but the idea of putting myself out there is a bit scary, and God bless every single one of you that are doing it, and you do it that looks effortless. You make it all look effortless, ladies and gentlemen, and I love it. I love it. So thank you so much. So my last thing I wanted to talk about was my birthday. Is coming up in August, and I might be jumping the gun a little bit, so this might come later on. But I'm thinking I want to do a knit along, or maybe a knit and crochet along, using a gradient yarn. This is my brainchild. This is my wild idea. So I don't really have a full plan and rules done out yet. I know I want to use a gradient, and anyone else that has a gradient or might have a gradient they have their eye on, that they'd like to get and maybe might want to be participating in it. I think I will definitely let it be open to knitting and crocheting, and maybe we'll have 2 different project prizes feeds for a knitted or a crocheted object. But I'm really excited. I have a gradient that I have my eye on. I have not purchased it yet. It's I will show it off and tell you more when I order it and when I get it, and then we'll go from there. But so sometime in August, maybe start of September, depending on when I can get the yarn, we will have a knit along. That's my plan. I'm going to go all out there. If we're going to do this, we're going to do it all and be part of all the fun that's happening. So I think that's everything I could possibly talk about right now. I want to thank everyone so much again for all your support, coming back and watching me again. If it's your first time, thank you for coming and staying. And if you liked it, give me a like. If you want to, you can leave a comment down below. Please subscribe so you know when I'm back on again and have something awesome to say. And thank you. I just want to say thank you so much. Please visit my Ravelry page. Come say hello, and have a great night. Thanks.